The skies over Isfahan became a canvas of fire and smoke as the city was rocked by a relentless barrage that shattered the illusion of safety. The night was lit by the glow of explosions, each one a stark reminder of the new face of warfare: swift, precise, and devastating. Inside command centers, Iranian commanders watched their radar screens flicker with overwhelming enemy signatures, the blips multiplying faster than they could track. The sense of control they once felt was replaced by confusion and dread as the scale of the assault became clear. For 12 tense days in June 2025, a swift and punishing conflict with Israel and the US exposed the vast gap between Iran's military ambitions and its outdated reality. The world watched as Iran's defenses crumbled under the weight of modern air power, and the myth of invincibility was shattered. Iran's air defense network, once touted as formidable and a source of national pride, was systematically dismantled. Radar sites and missile batteries were reduced to twisted metal, leaving gaping holes in the country's protective shield. Israeli F-35 by Adir stealth fighters struck at will, supported by the overwhelming might of American air power. Their advanced stealth and electronic warfare capabilities rendered Iranian defenses nearly useless, allowing them to operate with impunity. Iranian pilots, flying jets from the 1970s, faced what amounted to suicide missions against invisible enemies. Outmatched and outgunned, they took to the skies knowing the odds were stacked against them, their bravery overshadowed by the obsolescence of their machines. The war left Tehran with a stark conclusion. Without a modern air force, its regional power was hollow and its sovereignty at risk. The capital mourned not just its losses but the realization that its military posture was built on sand. Iran's doctrine of asymmetric warfare, missiles, drones, proxies, proved no match for true air superiority. The tools that once gave Iran leverage in the region were rendered ineffective when faced with overwhelming technological dominance. The ability to control the skies rendered all other strategies vulnerable. Air dominance was not just an advantage, it was the deciding factor, exposing the limits of every other weapon in Iran's arsenal. The urgent search for a solution began before the last bomb had fallen. Iran's leaders scrambled for answers, desperate to restore a sense of security and prevent further humiliation on the world stage. Images of burning hangars and the loss of a third of its fleet forced Iran's leaders to act. The devastation was not just material, it was psychological, a blow to national pride and military credibility. The decision to seek China's J-10C fighter jets was born not of ambition, but of necessity. Iran's future in the region now depended on rebuilding its air force with foreign help, a humbling but unavoidable step. The war stripped away all illusions, leaving only the cold reality of vulnerability, a lesson written in fire, smoke, and the ruins of a once proud air force. The June 2025 war was a meticulously orchestrated campaign by Israeli and American forces, planned over months with the latest intelligence and technology. The operation was designed to deliver a swift, overwhelming blow to Iran's air power and command structure, leaving little room for response. The campaign began with coordinated strikes that decapitated Iran's command and blinded its air defenses, targeting radar sites, communication hubs, and anti-aircraft batteries in the opening hours. Stealthy F-35s penetrated deep into Iranian airspace, evading detection and targeting key military sites with pinpoint precision. Their advanced electronic warfare suites jammed Iranian communications, sowing confusion among defenders. Iran's ground-based defenses, already outdated, were quickly overwhelmed, leaving the skies open for coalition aircraft to operate with near impunity. Pilots in aging F-4S and F-14S bravely took to the skies, but they flew into a storm of modern air power, facing jets equipped with superior radars, missiles, and electronic countermeasures. The technological gap was stark and unforgiving. The IRIAF lost up to 30% of its operational fleet in just days, with many aircraft destroyed on the ground before they could even take off. The devastation exposed just how far behind Iran had fallen in modern air combat. The coalition's goal was clear: establish total air superiority and dismantle Iran's warfighting capacity from the air, crippling its ability to respond or recover. The F-35's undetected operations were a game-changer, allowing coalition forces to strike at will. Iran's lack of modern sensors and integrated air defense left it effectively blind and unable to mount a coordinated defense. The war's end forced a painful reassessment in Tehran. Military leaders and government officials faced the harsh reality of their vulnerability as headlines reported staggering losses. The lesson was clear. If Iran hoped to deter future attacks and defend its sovereignty, it had to modernize its air combat capabilities immediately, or risk further devastation. The search for a new fighter was now an existential necessity, driving Iran to urgently seek advanced aircraft and technology from abroad to rebuild its shattered air force. Iran's Air Force is a flying museum built on American jets from before the 1979 revolution, F-14S, F-4S, and F-5S. Decades of sanctions forced Iranian engineers to keep these relics flying through improvisation and cannibalization. But ingenuity can't overcome outdated radars, avionics, and weapons. Against modern adversaries, Iranian pilots are outmatched before they even see the enemy. The fleet includes a handful of MiG-29S and Chinese F-7S, but these too are rooted in Cold War technology. The patchwork force complicates logistics, maintenance, and training. The recent war proved these aircraft are irrelevant in modern combat. Easily detected, easily destroyed. Tehran must now confront the reality. Without modern jets, its air force is a hollow shell. Only a significant upgrade can restore its ability to defend the nation. Before turning to China, Tehran pinned its hopes on Russia's Su-35 fighters. Payments were made, pilots trained, and for a moment, Iran seemed poised for a long-awaited upgrade. But the jets never arrived. Russia's war in Ukraine strained its own needs, and Moscow hesitated to antagonize Israel and Gulf states. The Su-35S were quietly redirected elsewhere. During the June war, Russia offered only words, not weapons, shattering Tehran's trust. The failed deal revealed the limits of relying on a distracted superpower. Forced to look elsewhere, Iran turned to China. China, with a mature defense industry and no major war, offered a different proposition. The disappointment with Russia closed one door and opened another. Iran's defense minister headed to Beijing seeking the J-10C. The pivot to China was born from necessity and bitter experience. The Chengdu J-10C represents a true technological leap for Iran, a 4.5-generation multi-role fighter, comparable in many ways to the most advanced F-16S in service today. This jet is not just a new aircraft, it's a symbol of how far Iran's air force is trying to leap in a single step. For decades, Iran has relied on aging jets from the 1970s, struggling to keep them flying with limited parts and outdated technology. The arrival of the J-10C marks a dramatic shift, from obsolete platforms to a modern, networked combat aircraft that can finally compete on today's battlefield. At the heart of the J-10C is its AESA radar, capable of tracking multiple targets at long range. This advanced sensor suite gives Iranian pilots a fighting chance for the first time in decades, allowing them to detect, track, and engage threats before being seen themselves. The J-10C's PL-15 missile, boasting a range of over 200 kilometers, rivals America's best air-to-air missiles. This enables Iranian pilots to engage enemy aircraft at distances far beyond visual range, fundamentally changing the dynamics of aerial combat in the region. Modern avionics, a fully digital glass cockpit, and sophisticated electronic warfare suites make the J-10C the most advanced jet in Iran's arsenal. Pilots benefit from intuitive controls, real-time data, and enhanced survivability against modern threats. When paired with Chinese AWACS aircraft, the J-10C becomes part of a true networked force, sharing targeting data and coordinating attacks across the battle space. This integration allows for faster decision-making and more effective missions. This network-centric capability is a game-changer for Iran's Air Force, enabling coordinated operations and real-time situational awareness that were previously out of reach. The J-10C is more than just advanced hardware. It represents a new way of fighting where information, speed, and teamwork are as important as firepower. For the first time in decades, Iran can credibly contest its airspace, deterring adversaries and projecting power far beyond its borders. The vigorous Dragon marks the single greatest leap in Iranian air power in 40 years, ushering in a new era for the nation's military aviation. For China, selling the J-10C to Iran was a delicate decision, balancing profit against regional and global risks. China's main Middle East partners are Iran's rivals, and Beijing values regional stability above all. Arming Iran risked upsetting the balance and provoking the US, China's key economic partner. The deal only moved forward after the US lifted some sanctions on Chinese oil purchases from Iran, providing a legitimate payment channel. China agreed to sell 36 jets, not the 150 Iran wanted, enough to bolster Iran, but not to upend the region. The sale cements China's role as a major arms supplier and a pragmatic power broker. It demonstrates China's ability to advance its interests without provoking a crisis. The deal strengthens ties with Tehran and showcases Chinese military technology. By proceeding cautiously, China gains leverage in the region. The J-10C sale is a masterclass in realpolitik. Buying 36 J-10Cs is just the beginning for Iran. The financial burden is heavy, and the modest order reflects ongoing constraints. Integrating a new aircraft means building supply chains, maintenance facilities, and retraining crews from scratch. China may withhold software source codes, limiting Iran's ability to modify the jets. Training pilots and technicians for such advanced systems will take years. The first squadron will likely serve as a training and evaluation unit. Rushing risks accidents and poor readiness. For Iran, the J-10C is the start of a long, difficult transformation, not a quick fix. The arrival of J-10Cs in Iran will send shockwaves through the Middle East. Saudi Arabia and the UAE, long enjoying air superiority, will likely accelerate their own arms purchases. The J-10C challenges their fleets of F-15S and Rafales, forcing a strategic rethink. Israel's F-35S still hold an edge, but the new Iranian jets complicate operational planning and erode Israel's freedom of action. The deal signals China's emergence as a major regional arms supplier, challenging US and Russian dominance. Beijing now offers a high-tech alternative for nations unable to buy Western equipment. The region faces a new cycle of military spending and shifting alliances. The J-10C's arrival marks a turning point in Middle Eastern power dynamics. The J-10C purchase marks a new era for Iran's military, ending decades of reliance on obsolete jets. 36 aircraft won't transform the IRIAF overnight, but they restore a measure of credible self-defense. These jets will likely defend Iran's most critical sites, raising the cost of any future attack. The deal could lead to deeper Iran-China military cooperation, further shifting the regional balance. For Iran, China is a lifeline. For China, Iran is a useful counterweight to US influence. The J-10C is more than hardware. It's a statement of intent. Iran is determined to rebuild its deterrent, despite immense challenges. The vigorous Dragon's arrival will reshape the region's skies for years to come.